round 5 coverage for Heat 1. Let's see what kind of games we got going on here. We got Legend TTO. Actually, let's see who's streaming what here. Let's see what games are already being covered. We don't want to duplicate anything up. Let's see what they got on the main channel. So Heat 1, we've got CCT versus Hyperdrive. That seems like an interesting game, but Bastion has already been featured today. We got Old Allies versus IE, which should be a good chess match. QMC versus IE should as well. Hunt Down, Hoth, Careful Planning, Legend ISB, Diplo, Hunt Down V. Let's see what we got going on here. This looks like they're streaming Justin's game on the main channel. We got All Stars and Yoshi. That looks like that's the game that they're streaming. Okay. Who else is streaming this round? Let's see if the multi-channel is up. I can just catch them all real quick, and then we'll jump into a game in just a second. All right, not quite sure who's. Nope, hasn't been updated. All right, so we're gonna jump into this Diplo Hunt Down V game between Paul and Ketwall, and then we'll check out the standings and stuff like that and see what's going on. Okay, so Kieran's playing Hunt Down V. He started security precautions on the third marker. I am your father, and the hunting you hatred card. Looks like he got Vader with a lightsaber out pretty quickly to the Dune Sea. He's going to want to try and occupy Tatooine locations. He did pull the Malachor site, but it's be unlikely whether or not he goes to it. Paul did strike planning, Walkling, and I must be allowed to speak as his starting effects. I'm guessing he must have just run a couple of things. Oh. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was the wife, and she takes priority. Okay, so while we were away, he played. All right, so Paul played rescue right away, and either had the falcon in hand or somehow pulled it previously. He all wings for the falcon. Okay, so he got that right away. Ship docked, moved the falcon, completed the data tapes, took a card into hand. Looks like it was out of commission, which he used to cancel Visage of the Emperor, so he didn't have to lose force. He paid. Uh, Kieran paid to drain, which prompted an It's a Hit to cancel it. Then he played No Escape to pick Visage back up, and played Visage, along with an Accelerate for the bridge, and then drew a bunch of cards. And now we're on to Paul's turn 2. Alright, so that catches us up with the action so far. Okay, so Paul's going to go ahead and he's going to grab the Cantina. And now he's going to look for the farm as well. The farm is a dangerous site, of course, to play with Vader already on the table because he does not have to deal with the drain restriction on it. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning back in. Hope you've been enjoying the coverage thus far. We'll try and get an update of the standings as well through heat number 1. Looks like Bastion's 4-0, so he's definitely guaranteed to advance. As we move into game 5 here, a couple of other people at 3-1. Looks like Kieran's at 3-1, Sean's at 3-1. That we know of so far. Pretty interesting, the deck breakdown as well that was posted. I don't know if you guys happen to see that yet. Light side, it's 24 players. So 6 Hitco, 5 Legend, 4 Hoth Careful Planning starts. That's 15 of the 24 players. Dark side is 7 Hunt Down V, and then 3 Entanglements, 3 ISB, and 3 CCT decks for 16, and then it's a bunch of one-offs from there. So Paul certainly taking his time figuring out what he wants to do next here and how he wants to interact. He's completed his plans. He's moved the Falcon back. So he's going to deploy Leia to the Cantina, General Leia Organa. Now you have to have Rebels in order to flip the objective. Rebels control 2 battlegrounds, a site, and a system. So this Leia does not help satisfy that, but still a good character. And it does still get him a used pile pull with I Must Be Allowed to Speak. Deploy Chewie, Luke, Leia, Orlando to a Tatooine site. He gets to search his used pile, take a card. Whether he had Chewbacca Protector or that's what he dug out, Chewbacca comes down for 2. He is a rebel, so that will now flip the objective. and he gets another use pile pull from Chewie. So he still has Luke and Lando's use pile searches left. By flipping the objective, if he wins a battle, he can retrieve a force, and his total battle destiny is now plus X, where it's number of battlegrounds occupied by rebels of ability less than 4, which is currently 2. Oh, this is Lando in space, right? Yeah, this is General Calrissian, so no use pile search there for Lando. So he just really has Luke left for use pile searches. But it'll be interesting to see what tricks Paul has up his sleeve, because Huntdown V certainly wants to battle heavily on the ground. He saves 4 force. Smells like it's a trap. Definitely smells like an it's a trap situation with the 1 extra force kept for possibility of first strike. And the first thing that Kieran is going to do is a force push. He's going to have 17 cards to choose from in his force pile, so could be anything that he's getting here, whether it's a strong character, something that cancels it's a trap, or blast door controls, or whatever he's concerned about. It could just be a sense. Sometimes that's really all you need. You're just like, I don't know which random interrupt he's going to play to try and get out of this. Maybe a sense will be good enough. I think it's a trap is immune to sense, but it could just be getting a second or a third character. All right, so we've got our first Inquisitor on the table. There's Fifth Brother. This one's not so good. Power +3 with the Jedi Padawan or Hatred card. Characters may not have their forfeit increase. This is a good part on this one, especially against Watch Your Step. Or No Idea. That likes to boost forfeit of guys with Insurrection. Power +3 gets him with the Power 7 if he plays a Hatred card. May stack on an opponent's character with your Inquisitor. I never liked the wording on this card looking at it, because it's just with, so you can do it in space, which I think is kind of dumb. And it's also any character. I think it should be more limited to, like, Jedi or Padawan or something, or character of ability greater than 3. So you can't just throw it on any schmo you want and cancel their game text, but I am no longer part of the playtesting teams, really, so or any design and development stuff, so my voice doesn't carry as much weight anymore. All right, we got Min. Min's good. Min lets you play a defensive shield and let you put their just played interrupt out of play to keep them from using it again. Min is also a leader, so Tarkin will add a battle destiny there. There is the Rebel Barrier on Min. And there's the Canceller. That is risky, because the Barrier Canceller is also the one that cancels It's a Trap. So he's going to cancel the Barrier and possibly get hit with It's a Trap now. I guess the argument is if Min is barriered and isn't part of the battle, then you're not battling anyway. So you might as well cancel the barrier and still initiate the battle, and then let him It's a Trap it, and then he actually just loses both cards that way. And spends the force, so he has 3 less force to work with the following turn. We've got an Imperial Enforcement now. Okay, so we're playing the all Imperial version if he's got Enforcement. The objective does restrict you a little bit with who you can deploy. It's characters except Bounty Hunters, Droids, and Imperials. So by this version here, we're going with all Imperials, so we won't see any Bounty Hunters or Droids. Means no Dr. E. Ketwell is going to stack a card. He's going to stack the Force Push on Leia. Fifth brother's going to get a Dark Jedi lightsaber. Leia's game text is canceled, so she's no longer immune to any attrition and won't retrieve force if he initiates a battle. Ketwall will initiate. There is no cancellation. He's got a dodge to subtract 3 from each weapon swing. That may be good enough to keep Leia alive, who's ability 5. It's going to be pretty tough to hit her with -3 to each. Basically, I draw 2 6s. That's not going to do it. Chewie's armor 4, Leia's ability 5, so um, wasn't going to be likely to hit either one of them. Oh, it's only characters' ability greater than 2 that you subtract from each with the dodge. So if he had swung at Chewie, okay, he couldn't have dodged that way. Tarkin will add a Battle Destiny here, and then he's just really hoping that it's light side draws on the lower side. Now they are adding 2 to the total. There's Thrawn, which he can cancel and take in with Tarkin. He can cancel and redraw that. It's less than the number of Imperials present. So there's a 5. He also could have taken him into hand with the domination. He's going to draw 2 5s. That's going to clear both characters. He gets 2 to the total because of the hunt down objective. If you have an Inquisitor, totals +1, +2 if they're with a hatred card. So that gives him 12 for a total. Light side draws Owen and Beru, which is a 3 but becomes a 5. So we're going to see Min get forfeited to cover that. And dark side, light side's going to have to lose both characters to cover the 12 battle damage and attrition in this case. I guess he's just figuring out which order he wants to lose people in. He's going to lose Leia first. Ketwall will play the new I've been searching for you for some time card, which lets him put the hatred cards in his used pile, so that force push, which is a once per game that he can't use, gets cycled back into his deck. So basically it's just it's non-retrieval retrieval, because you stack the card from your lost pile and then play the interrupt to then put the card back into your used pile. Okay, so he's going to lose Leia first, and then he's going to play Old Ben to bring her back, and then he's going to forfeit Chewie. I think he's still going to flip back, though. Nope, it doesn't flip him back. I was thinking it might have flipped him back because I guess he is still occupying. I was going to say Leia isn't technically there because the battle hasn't resolved, but maybe there's a timing thing where she is still occupying the site just for a split second there at the end of the battle. And then Vader's going to move over to the farm where he can now increase his damage output and also kind of isolate which way Leia can move if Paul doesn't have the another site to put in between, like the Mos Eisley. only 4 cards in his hand. It's going to be interesting to see what Paul might be able to set up here as a counter beat. Otherwise, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to go look for a Tatooine site with the objective. Ketwall loses a Mara Jade with lightsaber off the top of his deck. He's definitely got good board position here. Alright, so he does have Mos Eisley, so he does have a reprieve for Leia. If he had activated the site, that would have been a bit more interesting. Yeah, if you activate the site, I'm not sure what you do there. If you're Paul, because then your Leia's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. But luckily he does have the site available, so 4 cards in his hand. Maybe he's got one more character, possibly two, but maybe just one more character that he could put down to Mos Eisley, move Leia over, and then draw about 7 or 8 cards. Darkseid will have to pay for its drains with Battle Plan out. So if they're going to pay to drain in both spots, that's only going to leave him about 10 force with which to deploy and do much with. And he does still have that It's a Hit floating around that he played earlier. Did not get grabbed, so. And apparently Ketwall has to use the bathroom. He'll be right back in a minute. You gotta take advantage of your breaks between games, kids. That's right, you gotta go Iron Man here. No bathroom breaks. Hold it or use an empty bottle. Okay, so there's Luke. That will simultaneously, it's going to flip the objective back. So now Darkseid will start having to lose again for their Visage. It will also get him a used pile pull for deploying Luke to Tatooine. We'll see which card Paul opts to take. Now the other key thing here is Paul has taken a tremendous amount of time very early in the game trying to figure out what he's going to do, whether it's a latency issue. Oh, and Ketwall's going to take Vader back into hand, uses once per game. Flip if Luke blah 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 comes to a battleground site once per game, take Vader and your cards on him into hand from a site you control. So he's going to pick Vader right back up. So Vader will immediately be a threat. Vader plus lightsaber coming down next turn wherever these guys end up moving to. But we were talking about time. Here we are. Each person started with a 50-minute clock. Ketwall has 43 minutes left on his after his third turn. Paul is only partway through his third turn, and his clock is down to 32 minutes. So he's already used 11 more minutes, and 40% of his timer, and we're not even through turn 3 yet. So we saw in the earlier game that I streamed how much of a factor time is as we saw DDM lose that game on time, a game he probably would have won if he had 5 more minutes on his clock, but he did not. All right, and Lightside's going to set up Tatooine Celebration here. You've got Owen and Baru deploying for free to the large moisture farm. They also move for free to or from there. There's the All right, so it's going to get immediately canceled. Tatooine Celebration is going to get immediately canceled by the Masterful Move combo, which will get grabbed. And we'll probably see Paul pop Walkling here to retrieve it if he doesn't have something else to get it into hand. Catch up on the chat there. There's a lot of good texts in these decks, but yeah, Hunt Down certainly has a lot of interesting texts. The one that I find personally the most offensive is the one that says that you only flip back if they put guys to battleground site, not if Vader's no longer at a battleground site. So like, you could deploy Vader deploy Vader here, whatever, and get his lightsaber, and then if you're worried about something happening, you can actually move him like to the castle, and then you still say flipped because Vader doesn't have to be at a battleground unless you have battleground to flip it to the 7 side. I don't know why that was intended. That doesn't quite seem right. But yeah, these Inquisitors have a lot of interesting texts and a lot of interesting cards. Certainly why they're at the top of the power level right now and probably will be the most popular deck featured throughout the weekend. I'm sure week 2 will have a much more different approach as as the meta continues to develop and evolve, as we see the deck lists. But looking just at Heat 1, what the deck counts were, Hunt Down V was certainly the most popular, and I would not be surprised to see that be the case all weekend. Still Paul's deploy phase. He's got Rey. See, this is interesting. If you had Rey, unless you play 2 celebrations, if you had Rey, why not pop Walkling, retrieve the celebration, and then just deploy Rey and get a use pile pull and take the card back into hand? You can't redeploy it because it's unique this turn, but you would have it right back into hand to keep you set up for next turn. Unless he plays 2. Or he's thinking maybe he's got an Obi-Wan or something that he can swap cards for. But given he's only got 1 card in his hand right now, that's going to get a little tricky to pull off. A lot of these early decisions, though, really just running up Paul's clock. So he takes the used card into hand. Then he's going to draw the bottom card with Rey as well, getting his hand back up to 3. Then he'll use 1 and move Leia out. So now Leia and Rey are together. Owen and Baru will move over for free to back up Luke. And he's going to pull the ultimatum shield as he satisfies 3 battlegrounds now, so he will lose no more than 2 force to each force drain. So this drain in the cantina will only be 2. He'll only have to lose 2 to the drain instead of 3. If he has any tricks like an It's a Hit or anything else, that would also stop it. Yeah, it's possible when he deployed Luke that there was something else in his used pile that he really wanted. Um, he drew a leadership. He's going to pull Radis out, giving him another character in hand and a little lower destiny. But you know Vader with lightsabers coming down. Maybe it was the Hujix or something like that that he was going to get out of his used pile. Maybe Rey is the card he took out of his used pile with Luke, knowing he could just redeploy Rey and get the second card from used. A lot of times you'll see people do that. He also got the another added commission to cancel Visage. So he's going to cancel that again. And in doing so, he buries the celebration. So we'll have to assume there's either a second copy in his deck or he's banking on doing an Obi-Wan exchange. Possibly ineffective repairs, I guess, would be another option. Kieran's had plenty of time to think about how he wants to spend his turn, and he's just going to jump right into it. Activates his 16, skips his 4 strain. He's going to Tarkin's Bounty on Tarkin. Lets him get a card out of his force pile. It'll also let him peek at the top card of a reserve deck. Leia can't cancel drains where you have an Imperial. Not going to come into play this game. But if on Tarkin once per turn, peek at top card of any reserve deck. So he can look at his to check destiny. He can look at his opponent's to check destiny. And then kind of do the math. With 2 rebels here and him being flipped, he's adding 2 to the total. So figure out what this is, and does that beat Vader's immunity to attrition, or is that gonna, if he's gonna deploy a guy who forfeits 2 guys, they both forfeit for 5, and his opponent's gonna draw a 5 plus 2, and it's gonna clear both of them. Maybe he takes a different approach, different strategy. I hope you guys have been enjoying all the coverage thus far, brought to you by the variety of streamers. We've had Dan on the main channel. I know Drew's been working with him. I know Jared has jumped in and streamed some games. So we've got the Grand Inquisitor. He's going to stack Visage on Luke. That's another way to get your Visage back. Stack it and then play the card to cycle it back used. Trying to cancel Luke's game text. That would not only cancel his immunity to attrition, also canceling the part that makes you have to pay 1 to fire weapons. And Paul will allow that text to be canceled rather than losing another force. And now we get a shiny Vader. And he's going to have a matching lightsaber here in a second. Oh, also shiny. Now he will cancel Owen and Beru's game text. So now neither of them have game text. And there's Akira Kanos. The Inquisitor's probably the one who's going to end up getting forfeited here. He forfeits for 7. If you figure he's adding 2, he can peek, of course. He draws a 4 or a 5. He gets to initiate battle for free. Take a swing at Luke. Second dodge. No second dodge. He does not occupy enough battlegrounds now. Lightside's at 3, so enforcement is not working. So he cannot redraw that. Is it only Battle Destiny you can redraw? During battle. Nope. So you can redraw at any time. So he draws a 6 and misses. He does have him significantly a little bit outpowered here, though. You assume probably they're both going to be in the 5 to 6 range. I guess Owen and Beru would probably cover the difference. Unless he happens to top deck a 6 here. Maybe an Emperor or something, that would be a 6. Harvest. Probably not, Scott. It's not a card we see too often, but hey, you never know. Another old Ben. So Kieran's got to lose the Inquisitor. Paul's going to lose Owen and Baru in a card, basically. Now, Owen and Baru's game text is canceled. So this part here that says if lost during opponent's turn, Luke is power plus 6 until end of your next turn, uh, will not apply. And he top decks another Luke. And then Kieran's going to draw a card. He draws 2 cards. Interesting. I don't like that. I don't like drawing that second card. He's basically assuming his opponent's not going to battle him, and it's just going to move away, and I don't like making that assumption, because by drawing that last card, he can't use Vader's lightsaber now. I'm guessing Kieran also just spoiled the fact that he's got a sniper in hand. As he says in the chat, Paul, you can tell me after the game if you had the Hujix. Otherwise, the swing on Luke would have been good game. So I'm guessing he's implying he's got the sniper. He would have operated, or played the sniper to make Luke immediately lost, and would have outpowered Owen and Baru by about a dozen. But he just misses. Kieran's going to throw away the Emperor's shuttle and then top deck a Sith Fury to the drains of 1 and 1. It's always an interesting thing because when you tell your opponent something like that, you've now revealed information about your hand if they're paying careful attention. Paul's asking why Luke isn't power plus 6. It's because their game text was canceled. And now Paul has realized that. Alright, he can draw a card with Rey, which he just did. So he's got 5 cards in hand. So Paul has 5 cards in hand and 24 in life force with 14 active. I know it's a little hard to see the number sometimes on the streams. Kieran has 29 total cards face down, also with 5 in hand. So Kieran with a 5 card advantage right now, but Paul is not paying to force drain, which is a significant difference. And then he also does have the potential for little bits of retrieval here and there. Imperial Enforcement, which is on the table, is not active right now because light side occupies more battlegrounds. Paul's asking to revert because he didn't mean to pass through his control phase. And Kieran will allow the revert. As far as clock goes, we are at the start. He reverted all the way back to the control phase. So Kieran's going to lose the same 2 cards. Because Paul went back too far. He already drew the card. Oh, he didn't go all the way back, so he lost the shuttle already. Ah. That's what he's doing. So he's moving Leia in with the Cantina Shuffle. But as mentioned earlier, the clock continues to be Paul's biggest enemy in this game, I think. As Ketwall is just under 40 minutes now, 39:58. Meanwhile, Paul is down to 23 minutes on his clock. Try not to harp about that too much, but it certainly is a big challenge for some players, and playing against very deliberately slow players can also be a little bit frustrating and can obviously force people into making mistakes. Second, Owen and Baru. All right, Ray also moved over, by the way. So there's a Captain Cassian. So now, and there's a Radis. So he's going for the beatdown in the Cantina. He puts Owen and Baru out for free. He will initiate battle. He will get to retrieve one with Leia. He's going to leadership to add a battle destiny. That's what I'm curious about. So he's going to add a destiny. Oh, Tarkin's not with a leader. Never mind. I was going to say, why wouldn't you limit them to one, but and then cancel it with Cassian? But never mind. Tarkin's not with the leader. I forgot these Inquisitors aren't all leaders. Actually, I don't think any of them are. If you run out of time, do you lose if you even have... Yes, you lose. You could be winning the game 47-1, and your clock runs out, you lose. And Paul's been playing this game for long enough to know that that's how that works. Okay, Captain Cassian gets hit, and there is the Sniper Dark Strike combo that Kieran basically told us he had last turn. So that's going to take Cassian out of the battle. So now Darkside will get a battle destiny. Paul draws Captain Antilles, who's only a 2, and then he draws a rescue for a 5. It's going to clear both guys. He'll have 7, 8, 9, 10 for a total. Oh, plus 1 from Ray, making it 11. Lightside will win the battle. They will get to use the objective and retrieve a force. Darkside does draw a 5, though, so Radis is not going to cover. So Paul's going to have to lose Ray or Leia. He will choose to lose Ray. Seems to be the more likely one, especially Ray's a card you may have more than one copy of, but also if you can retrieve her and then redeploy her and get more used pile pulls, that seems pretty good. Meanwhile, Ketwall has to lose both characters, so the Cantina is now clear. And we could possibly just see Luke move away to the farm. Yep. It was likely that that's what was going to happen anyway, but I wasn't overly fond of Kieran's decision to draw because if these guys had all piled up in front of Vader instead, he wouldn't have been. He can cancel one person's game text, but he can't use the lightsaber to swing. And then when he draws his battle destiny with Kyrkanos only forfeiting for 4, Luke adds 1 to the total. I'm sorry, Luke just adds to weapon destinies. It's the other card, like my father that I'm used to seeing, that adds 1 to battle destiny. But he was still adding at least 2, if not 3, to the total battle destiny. So chances are he was going to clear Vader and only lose a crappy guy, and then move Luke away. You know. And there's the it's a hit again. It's going to be a problem. If you got a sense for it, now would be a good time to play it. He's got do or do not out. It looks like Kieran's just going to scoop it. Oh, server instability. We're having a little bit of an issue with that. Paul saying he did not have the Hujix in that Luke battle, so if Luke had been hit, and now he's going to put Kieran on tilt for the rest of the day, because now Kieran's going to be bummed out that he just missed out because of a bad Destiny draw. But yeah, Kieran's going to concede the game. I guess he just figures he can't, outpace Paul or outdamage him. But he's so far ahead on Life Force right now, and he's very little damage. It would honestly take Paul. Paul would time out. Paul would absolutely time out before this game would be finished with only the, couple points of damage that are happening there. But okay, Kieran concedes. So let's see if there are any other interesting games we can hop into. Let's check out the end of this Silver Glen Dylan game. I don't know if anybody's streaming that. I don't know who's streaming what right now. Okay, so let's see what we got. All right, so Dylan is flipped. There is no occupation out currently. He's got 8 force left, 4 cards in hand. Silver Glen also flipped, has 13 life force remaining and 3 cards in hand. We got piles of guys piled up over here. We've got a drain of 1 at Jakku, and then you've got Lor Santika here. I think this is just a drain of 1 also. Oh, this is the 2-2 site, so that's a drain of 2. Oh, plus 1 from a villager. Where's there a villager? Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong site. It shifted. Yeah, so this is just a drain of 1 site. So, alright, we got a battle going on up in space. We've got a Devastator with Grand Admiral Thrawn and Marek Steel, the Emperor's Reach, with an Imperial command to add a Battle Destiny. He's drawing 3 Destiny. He gets 9 for a total. They are taking on Rogue One with Wedge piloting and Leia's Resistance Transport. So we do not have any resistance characters to subtract 2 from the Destiny draw. Silver Glen draws a 4. Darkside will win the battle. They have more than enough battlegrounds. So it looks like right now they're just doing pings of 1, 1, and 1. No occupation. So they're doing 3 damage by drains. Light side is doing 2 damage by drains. So it's really going to be the Leia retrieval, I think, which is going to make the difference and separate this game. It's just me in the main channel. Thank you. So Wedge and the Rogue One will die. That will leave Leia's transport, which does have a permanent pilot, and you know, temporarily floating there. It looks like Ozzel and Tarkin are going to shuffle away. Yep. Okay. So it's still in the same, and then he'll retrieve a trooper, I guess, with his final action. So that's going to bring him back up to 10. They both have 3 in hand. And he'll get Sergeant Barrack. So that puts him up to 11. So now it's 12 to 11. Light side doing 2 damage, dark side doing 3 damage, potentially 4 when the transport has to move away. But Silverglen, now with a 4th card in hand, picks something up from Rey. See what he's got up his sleeve that he can drop in front of these guys in battle. He may just go for the battle here against Veers. I mean, Rose is retrieving. He's got 12 power to his opponent's 9. He would retrieve for initiating with Leia. And it's 2 to deploy cost of each opponent's male Imperial when that Imperial is deploying to same or adjacent sites. So all those Inquisitors, the male ones, the sisters are okay. The brothers will get a little more pricey. And he will battle Veers, and he's going to leadership to draw a 2nd Destiny. It's kind of where I figured that this was going to end up going. He'll pick up the last card off of Justice, which is a sneak attack. So he just gets the 2. Meanwhile, Darkside's going to draw a 4. And then that should be Barrack. Right? Where did that... Wasn't that the last thing he did was he paid to retrieve? Where did... Oh, he lost Barrack to the drain. Never mind. He lost Barrack off the top to the forest drain. Missed that part. Too busy yapping. So he draws a total of 8. That'll get rid of Saw and maybe the Nemeth. So that was not a good battle. It was a good battle in the way that it forced him to pick up his last Justice card. I guess Silverglen's debating now, does he... It's also not good for him that he knows exactly where the trample is now as well, so he can activate 7, pick up the trample with Blizzard 2's text, and then he knows he's going to draw a 4 for it. Just trample Rose or something if he doesn't want to battle. Okay. Loris Antique is going to battle there. He'll retrieve the Nemeth. Hi, Tomas. Thank you for joining. Thank you for running heat number 1. Looks like it's been going pretty well so far. It's a bad draw, but it's good enough to... No, don't subtract from that one. Ah. don't subtract from characters when they're drawn for Battle Destiny with the objective for two reasons. Reason number one, um, they can Imperial Domination to take their character into hand. And reason number two, by subtracting a 3 into a 1, you now give him the ability to use Tarkin to redraw it because it's now less than the number of Imperials there. So that was like a no-no on both sides. Ozzel does die. Does he have a Hoojix or is he peeling 4 cards though? I think he's peeling 4 cards. Yep, he's peeling 4 cards. There goes Finn. There goes the Hnemeth. That'll be the force he used, which was Guts. And the force he used to battle, which is the Hans Toolkit. Okay, now he's got a... Oh. He moves Rey over in front of Tarkin. Falcon's going to take off. I think maybe he flipped it instead of moving it. I think he clicked the wrong thing by accident. Silver Glen is known for playing on his... Yeah, he's going to move over in front of Blizzard 2. Silver Glen was thrown off from his game versus DDM. His beatdown turn 2 was really bad. Ooh. I did not catch that one, but... Okay, and then Leia's going to slide over in front of Tarkin. And then the transport moves back. Alright, so Darkseid's going to do 4 damage here. Silver Glen with 14 total life force left, so he still has some cards to work with. And Dylan's going to get an opportunity here to retrieve a trooper at the end of his turn, which is really the only damage he's potentially taking. Possibly he can win a battle, depending on how he wants to play this. You know, he could just battle with Veers and draw 2 4s. If he has a command or something, or he could pull the trample into hand and then just, you know, trample somebody and then move Blizzard 2 away, or move Tarkin over, or something. While they think about it, I have to take a All right, I am back, and it looks like we're in the midst of a pretty big battle here over the Jakku system. Spiral came down as a react to give Silver Glen some last-minute reinforcement, hoping to be just enough to take on the Devastator here, which looks like it's got, what, Thrawn and Tarkin on it? Yeah, so he's got 3 Destiny. He's going to spend his last 3 Force paying for them. Oh, he chooses not to draw the 3rd one. And he's going to save that last Force now that the Spiral is here, possibly to move away and move back to Tatooine. That's an interesting play. In this case, declining to draw that 2nd Destiny. Light side draws a 7, which will kill Thrawn. That's actually a pretty smart move by Dylan. Because if he had drawn that 3rd Battle Destiny, then he would not be able to move, and he'd have the Devastator with just Tarkin on it, sitting in front of what's most likely Poe and Leia's transport, which would get 2 Destiny, very likely draw high enough to clear Tarkin and the Devastator, and then that's game, because he's got to pay to drain on the ground the rest of the game. But by not drawing that last Destiny, saving that 1 Force, he now has a Force available to move the Devastator back to Tatooine and protect his ground drains. Very smart play by Dylan. Dylan's definitely a player who's had some very strong success in a number of leagues on Jemp in the last year. Certainly, finished in the top 10 of a few months of the OCS standings and other tournaments. So, not surprising at all to see him make that type of play there. So now we've got Dylan with 4 cards in hand, 7 cards left in reserve deck for 11 total life force. Silver Glen 1 in hand and 6 left in life force, and he's only draining for 1 this turn at Jakku. He's got Rey in the Falcon with Leia, the Villager, and Rose in front of Veers and Mara. Certainly not looking appealing to battle there. And with only a couple of Force left, he really doesn't have any options to go to Tatooine either. And the best he could do, if he moved away, it's not really going to get him very far either. So he almost has to battle into this Walker stack. He can pay 1 to retrieve 1 with Rose first. He can pay 1 to... He can pop Walkling to pay 1 to retrieve, which he hasn't done yet. And then pay 1 to retrieve for initiating the battle. Nope, he's going to activate extra force. So that could be all his retrievals. There goes a trooper from hand. And we'll get a Rose retrieval to get gets the gold leader back. As long as you guys are watching, don't forget to click that little purple box that says follow. Follow along my channel for other Twitch streams. Hopefully I will be back streaming a lot more often in the new year after taking a couple months of hiatus from my weekly show. But I'm looking forward to getting back to that soon and marching forward to episode number 100. And we're also going to have a special giveaway during the next game. So be sure to stay tuned for that during round number 6. We'll take a look at the standings as well in between games if we have a minute. Alright, so we are going to battle. He's going to swing at Rose, and he's going to draw the first 4. The villager can go used to cancel it. Instead, he's going to subtract 2 with the objective first, making it a 2, and then he'll send the villager used to cancel this one. That'll prevent his opponent from doing any of his redraw text if it's canceled. Lightside just draws 2 for Battle Destiny, Captain Cassian Andor. And Darkside's going to draw a whole bunch here. Looks like Dylan is definitely in the driver's seat for the rest of this game on this one. Just from a damage perspective, he's just doing more than Silverglund can offset. He's got no force left to retrieve a guy for winning that battle, but he does have 11 for total Battle Destiny. And you're sitting here looking at going, which 2 characters do you lose? Calrissian for sure for 1, but do you lose Leia for the other? Do you lose Rey and then the Falcon becomes expendable? Mara certainly goes, protecting that Blizzard 2 and Veers, which he can certainly track back around to and redraw the same 6-5, basically, that he drew for Battle Destiny there. Yeah, activate 3, drain for 3, initiate battle here, draw 6-5. Seems pretty good. That's basically can kill everything except Rose at that point. He can keep Rose and then just move away in space. But this game's looking like it's pretty well in hand for Dylan. Dylan's going to squeak it out here. Alright, so he's going to activate 4. So now we know. So one of them is the 6, something. The other one is something he drew. The 4 he drew first, the trample. He can take the Lieutenant Arnett into hand. So now he's got 6-4 for Battle Destiny. He can actually deploy Arnett and battle after he's done with all of his draining. There's a help me Obi-Wan. There's a I can handle myself. There goes a Cassian. I don't believe Arnett is a leader. He might be. I don't know, I'm trying to think if he keys off Tarkin or not, but you could certainly. He's going to put Arnett in Blizzard Scout 1. Seems a little unnecessary. Not sure exactly what he's going for there. Unless he's going to just shuttle the whole thing up, which is a possibility. Yep. No, he'll subtract 2 from it. You're right. He can subtract 2 from it. He can lose the Falcon and Rose to cover the 8 and keep Leia. Just thought about that. no, they'll just cover. But Darkseid does get to retrieve another guy for winning a battle. This is just, uh, if this were a differential tournament, Silverglen would have drawn up by now, just to stop his opponent from getting any more cards back in his deck. There goes the Falcon out of play. And then Rose is going to be lost right behind it. Yeah, and then that's going to move away. And he's going to retrieve a guy. So I'm not sure what the Arnett play here was for. It seems a little unnecessary. If anything, if you wanted to deploy Arnett, deploy him in Tempest Scout 5 and then shuttle Piet up to the Devastator or something maybe. And then don't move. Because you've got Piet and Tarkin who've got good forfeit. You add the second Battle Destiny there. And then you just block the drain for 1 or 2 more turns. But again, he's still in control of this game, so I think he's going to come out just fine. And he's going to go ahead and concede it. Yeah. Not much he can do, and he knows it. So congrats to Dylan on picking up another win there. Let's go check out the standings here and see what's been updated. So that was game 5. Bastion picks up another win to go to 5-0. Zimowit picks up a win, as does Paul. Matt Lutz picks up another win there. I think that puts him to. I think these guys are all might be 4-1 now. Ricard, Mason. Let's see if those games are still going on. Yeah, it looks like DDM and Corrin are still playing. Looks like some type of court versus EBO. So going in to see where are these standings. So Bastion was at 8, and these guys, Sean, James, Matt, Kieran. So Kieran picked up the win. Zimwit picked up the win. He's at 4-2. Matt picked up the win. He's at 4-1. As is Paul. So yeah. Oh no, he did it right there at the top for me. Look at that. Okay. And still a couple guys who have the ability to still get in, who are 3-2, who still have the option to win their last game, win it in that last game. All right, we're gonna take a short break here. Oh, thank you very much. It was at the top. Yes, thank you, Tomas. We're gonna take a short break here. I'm gonna close out the stream so I can set it up for round number 6. Grab a fresh beverage, and we'll be back in just a few minutes whenever this last game of heat number 1 wraps up. And thank you guys very much for watching. And we'll be back shortly.